Hi, I'm Terrie Wilson. I'm happy to be here, and I'll be speaking with you today a bit on discovering and growing culture. I'll draw on some of my past experience as a transformation coach, working with small and large teams in all types of organizations. You might ask, why discover culture? A lot of times we talk about changing culture, evolving culture, creating a new culture, but we tend to forget to start at the beginning and meet people where they are, meet your culture where it is. Organizational culture is a group of internal values and behaviors. It's ways of thinking, it's people's beliefs, it's their experiences, the things they expect in the future. And it's a result of perception within a company that all of its employees or most of its employees share. Now, in order to understand what your culture is now, you need to kind of go on a bit of a journey and do a little bit of an assessment and learning about your existing culture. There's a great book out there called Diagnosing and Changing Organizational Culture based on the Competing Values Framework. It includes a lot of useful assessment tools. The values framework itself, if you think of it in a four-square kind of presentation, or four axes, or four-square matrix, you may have a clan type of organizational culture, which is collaborative. Or you may have on the other side of that a create type of culture that is more about your gurus and your geniuses that are creating great things. You may have a culture that's a little more command and control. Or you may have a culture that competes in the market. So you're kind of a fierce, competitive culture. Any of those things may be true, and in some cases, a cross-section between some of them. But it's important that you understand what kind of culture you have now. Another way to think about culture is it's things that you can observe and things you cannot. Explicit behaviors, the way we engage, the way we talk, the way the company feels when you're in it, the way it engages with customers, behaviors. Artifacts, branding you use, statements you use. Some organizations have big word graphs put on their walls to talk to their teams about what kind of culture they have. And then there are the conscious and normal contracts that we establish as a team or as an organization about how we're going to work together. What you cannot observe, though, are implicit assumptions. Things that we assume that we don't even know we're assuming, behaviors that we take on without recognizing those behaviors, or things that we do that we just don't talk about. So once you understand your culture, then what do you do? So now what? You don't necessarily want culture in a can. You don't want someone to come into your organization and tell you, this is what your culture will be, now go forth and do that. So you need to spend a little time taking a look at your culture's existing condition and then comparing it to your vision for your organization and making sure you're speaking in your vision to where you want your culture to go in the future. There are ways to do that. They're commonly known as three elements of culture: language, norms, beliefs, and values. Now, if you look at the three rings there, you'll notice that as they intersect, we start to speak again about some of the things we talked about when we looked at the pyramid of things that are easy to see, easy to understand, and hard to discover. So language, beliefs, and values, they combine to create artifacts, the ways that you express your culture. Language and norms combine to create explicit behavior, the way you act and treat people within your culture. And norms, beliefs, and values combine to create those conscious contracts, those agreements, or sometimes they're called team norms, or maybe they're organizational agreements about how we'll work together. I want to show you a bit of an example of a type of culture that you may have interest in. There are many types of cultures, but this is a good one to look at. So let's look at a video.
This film talks about servant leadership, what it is, and why it makes sense. Servant leadership is a tried and tested leadership approach that's about creating a shift from managing for results to designing environments that create results. Robert Greenleaf coined the phrase servant leadership in the 1970s. It's a form of leadership that replaces self-interest with service to others. Servant leadership is about influence rather than power and control, focusing on others' strengths rather than weaknesses, listening rather than giving orders, and long-range benefits rather than short-term profits. Servant leaders demonstrate a range of 9 key attributes. The good news is that all of these can be developed. Listening, self-awareness, foresight, empathy, persuasion, stewardship, healing, conceptualization, and building a sense of community. Servant leadership is about transformation and future focus. And adopting its leadership principles complements agile ways of working really well. The nature of work in the workplace has changed drastically. Our leaders need to change too. In order to continue to maximize delivery and customer value, our leaders need to demonstrate an ability to adapt. According to the Economist Intelligence Unit, the top 3 emergent leadership requirements are ability to motivate, ability to work well across cultures and geographical boundaries, and ability to facilitate change. An effective servant leader would demonstrate these by role modeling collaboration, accountability, and demonstrating innovation, emphasizing the importance of embracing and applying new knowledge at an individual and team level, and encouraging novel approaches and ideas. New demands are being made of leaders at all levels. The world's leading lean and agile thinkers together articulate 8 core competencies that they believe will differentiate leaders of the future. And these are innovation, strategic, excitement, tactical, communication, production, consensual, and delegation. So, in summary, servant leadership is an attractive, effective, and proven approach that should be the choice for those interested in transformation at an individual and organizational level.
So I hope you enjoyed that video. Now let's talk about how you set intent and envision and example your culture once you've decided what it's going to be. You need to set intent within your organization. You can do that through training courses that include both your vision and your culture in the training. You can do that with speaker engagements from your executives who will come and speak to the organization at the team level or at the higher organization level and make sure that they're exempling and explaining that vision and culture together. You can also have external speakers come who can give you kind of an aspirational view of what it means to change culture and what it does for you. You can also make sure that you understand how you're doing. So in order to do that, you need to kind of baseline, understand what your culture is now, and then measure how your culture is progressing and do it in a way that's visual that you can share as part of the talking points you use when you talk with your teams, your orgs, and even with individuals. One of the things that you can use is the Fearless Organizational Scan. Now, this is a collaboration with Harvard Business School, and it helps measure psychological safety in your organization in 4 main criteria. Attitude to risk and failure. You may consider that similar to growth mindset. We'll talk about that in a minute. Open conversation. Comfort level with talking about difficult things or even things that aren't difficult, just comfort with talking with each other. Willingness to help, seen as an attribute that everyone wants to exhibit. And inclusive and diverse organizations where everybody is included and diversity is not an issue, it's a norm. How agile is your organization is another type of assessment that instead looks at your organization's nimble ability to move through change and to develop product even. This assessment can be done online. It is by Bain and Company. They are a consultant. And you literally go online and answer these questions by clicking the colored bars. You'll have a series of questions presented to you, and you'll have an outcome. So this is something an individual can do to kind of think about their organization or something an organization can do together to understand where they stand. Now, you also need to encourage a healthy culture. This is at the grassroots level, at the individual level, where you're making sure people have a good sense of where they stand in their own evolution, shall we say. So, Mindset Works provides a free growth mindset assessment. This is a great assessment. It actually helps you understand how well you adapt to doing new things and how comfortable you are with possibly not doing so great at them in the beginning. It also gives you a bit of feedback to help you understand where you can change and how you might want to achieve that. There are 8 questions. You answer them anonymously and you get the feedback. The other assessment that is really, really unique and groundbreaking is a Harvard University implicit biases test. It is free, anonymous, online, and by taking it, you actually help the larger community around you, the world around you, because they roll the data up and use it for analysis. And again, you're anonymous. This is outside of your network at work. This is just you learning about yourself. You can choose any of the different or all of the different bias tests you can take. And what they do is they use a scientific process where you answer questions or look at things at a speed at which you are not able to make the slow decisioning that happens when you get to consider things. Instead, you're going to make fast decisions with very little information. And those decisions and the speed at which you make them help the test itself give you feedback on where you may have uncovered implicit bias. Explicit bias, you kind of know you have this feeling that you like ice cream and you like vanilla ice cream better than chocolate ice cream. Implicit bias is much deeper than that. You may have a negative reaction to ice cream because you're lactose intolerant and you don't even realize it. You just have a bad feeling about ice cream, right? So this is a really engaging series of tests. Remember, it's private. Even if it's not something you're going to take back to your team, I highly encourage everyone to pick one, take it, see what you learn. Now, in order to make all of this real, right? These are all assessments and principles and theories and practices. But to make it real, you have to engage your organization in it. Being in a large organization or small team, you have to make it real for them by making them part of it, help them join in creating your vision and your culture statements. And you also need to create some engaging opportunities. So maybe some fun activities that you do as an organization around your vision and your values, or maybe some things that your team at a smaller scale thinks of that they'd like to do kind of organically, creatively, some fun they want to have. Then you need to recognize the people who are willing to go out there and make those things happen. Those are your culture carriers, right? So you need to find a way to spotlight your culture carriers. Give them a little cameo in some of these events. Maybe even give them some career advancement opportunity, but make it very visual. So everybody wants to join in improving your culture and they see value in it. They see something that's not just going to help your org, but it's going to help them too. You need to protect people. When you evolve culture, people can feel left behind. They can feel spotlighted. So sometimes it's a good idea to stand up an organization, or even better, to find an external group that can take conversational kinds of appointments with your employees or your team members. So they have a place to go to discuss how they feel about what's happening, to raise their hand if they think something's going awry in their culture, and to do it in a way that is safe, but where your company learns about the information in a way where the data is scrubbed. So you know these things are happening, but you don't necessarily know who reported what. That'll help you evolve your culture as an organization. And of course, you need to learn and grow. So you want to take those assessments that you've run on your organization, baseline them, run the first iteration, rerun them maybe quarterly or or biannually or even annually, and compare them to see how your culture is changing based on what people are responding to in these assessments. And then listen, ask the people, listen to the people, and respond to what you get back to help evolve your culture in a way that is healthy and in a way that is going in the direction you want your vision for your company to take it. So I hope you've enjoyed our little chat today. I will make sure that you have materials, links to the things that we just talked about, included in the materials that come from SEACON. Thank you, everyone.